This is Rumble with Michael Moore, and I'm Michael Moore.
Come you ranks of labor, come union corps, and see if you remember the struggles of before, when you were standing helpless on the outside of the door, and you started building links on the chain, and you started building links on the chain. When the police on the horses were waiting on demand, riding through the strike with a pistol in their hand, swinging at the skulls of many a union man, as you build one more link on the chain, as you build one more link on the chain.
It's the dead of winter, folks, and everyone's hunkering down to avoid Omicron, or, well, at least you should be. But some people can't. They're the people who feed us, clothe us, who bring us our packages. And I don't drink coffee, but maybe in your case, they're the people that give you the coffee you need to start your day. Or perhaps some of you who are listening, you are those people. The people that we like to call essential workers. Well, for nearly 2 years, workers in all sectors of the service industry have been working through grueling, unsafe conditions without adequate personal protection gear, with no recourse to protect themselves from customers who come in to scream at them without a mask on because their venti latte didn't have enough foam. Do I have that right? Venti latte? Again, I have to admit, I'm not much of a coffee person, but what I have been following is the inspiring campaign out of Buffalo, New York. So they've had a vote at 3 of the Starbucks locations in the Buffalo area, and 2 of them have voted in the union. And they are the first unionized Starbucks anywhere across the United States of America. My friends, this is huge. And it's an historic victory for an industry, service, fast food, etc., that is defined by harsh working conditions at low wages for something that was, by our own government, defined as essential businesses from the start of this pandemic. And about all that got you was people banging their pots and pans for you at 7 o'clock every night. Not much else, because you're still vulnerable. You still have to work there. And moreover, Starbucks itself, when you think about this company, it was practically built from the ground up to stifle any kind of union activity, any kind of organizing. So this was truly an uphill battle in Buffalo. And these wins are already making a seismic impact. So I'm excited to have on 2 of the main organizers from the Starbucks Workers United on today's episode of Rumble, Jaz Brisack and Casey Moore, no relation, both out of Buffalo, to tell us about this historic win and why it's just the start of the struggle. So I'm going to thank a couple of underwriters here for today's episode. You may want to just start sharing this with friends, family, co-workers at your places of employment that do not have a union to protect you. But let me just give a shout out here to my underwriters for today. And the first one is Netflix. Netflix has been a long-time supporter and underwriter of this podcast. I'm extremely grateful for that. And for today, Netflix, in underwriting today's episode, is doing so by putting forth and promoting their incredible documentary called Procession by the acclaimed filmmaker Robert Greene. Procession follows the cathartic journey of 6 men as they come together to collectively work through their trauma by directing a drama therapy-inspired experiment. Through a radically collaborative filmmaking process, they create fictional scenes based on their memories and experiences surrounding their abuse by the Catholic Church over the years. This is an amazing documentary because it blends in all the church rituals, the culture, the hierarchies, all the systems that worked hand in hand to silence any complaint from the abused. I've never seen this done in a documentary like this. It's a unique approach. It allows the subjects of this film, Procession, to not only talk and listen, but to be seen and heard, reclaiming their agency in the process. These men form a makeshift family and a support network, proving that none of them are alone. This is an incredible film. You have to see this. It's been hailed by critics across the country as one of the best documentaries of the year. Procession is a powerful film where reclaiming the story is the story itself. And I fully and highly recommend watching Procession, now streaming on Netflix. I also want to thank another incredible film. Yes, we have 2 films supporting this podcast today and supporting my work. So thank you very much again to National Geographic. They have a documentary film out called The First Wave, with exclusive access inside one of New York's hardest hit hospital systems during the first terrifying 4 months of the pandemic. Oscar-nominated and Emmy Award-winning director Matthew Heineman, great filmmaker, by the way. This is his film. This is his next film, The First Wave. It spotlights the everyday heroes that were at the epicenter of COVID-19 when it began, as they came together to fight one of the greatest threats the world has ever encountered. Matthew's the kind of filmmaker who, when something's happening, he doesn't wait for everybody else to figure it out or the pundit class to tell us what's going on. He and his team, they pick up the cameras and they go. And they did this, not knowing what would happen or it's an amazing film, The First Wave. It documents the impact of what was then a deadly new coronavirus on the patients and on hospital workers. And he does it with sensitivity, but without sanitizing the suffering. You know, this is not one of these things where they tell you on cable news, you may want to look away, or we're not going to show you the whole thing. Matthew shows you the whole thing here in The First Wave. It's also up for consideration this year for Best Documentary Feature at the Academy Awards. Cool. And it is now streaming on Disney+. Our third underwriter of the episode, then we're going to get right to the Starbucks workers and their union, is Stamps.com. Whether you're a small business owner, sending mail to a big extended family, or just trying to stay safe these days, sometimes you don't have the time to deal with the hassle of going to the post office. So with Stamps.com, you can skip the trip and never waste another dollar or a minute. Stamps.com lets you print official postage right from your computer. No special supplies or equipment needed. And it is approved and licensed by the United States Postal Service. My crew and I use Stamps.com when we're making our films, doing lots of shipping, traveling, etc. We always have stamps on us because we subscribe to Stamps.com. It lets you access all of the post office and also UPS shipping services that you need. No, they worked something out there. So you've got the post office and UPS giving you what you need without you having to go to either the post office or UPS. And you get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off postal service rates and 76% off UPS rates. So get your new year off to a good start by saving time and money with Stamps.com, one of our wonderful underwriters of Rumble with Michael Moore. And by the way, you can sign up with the promo code MOORE, my last name, MOORE, for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. So just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code MOORE, MOORE.
When the police on the horses were waiting on demand, riding through the strike with a pistol in their hand.
So we have with us here 2 of the people who helped to lead this incredible movement. The union is called, as I said, Starbucks Workers United. And my two guests are two members of that union who have succeeded up in Buffalo. And we're going to get into their story and how this happened and how those of you who are working at places that are not unionized could possibly make it happen where you work. Welcome to Rumble, Jaz Brisack and Casey Moore, no relation. But a proud name for any union organizer. How are you two?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh yeah, no. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for what you've done. And I think for people that are not aware of this, because I know this started back. There's as I recall, there's 3 different Starbucks locations up there. One in Buffalo, one in is it Elmwood, and what's the third? Was it Genesee?
Yes. So there were 3 elections held so far. The 2 that are unionized are Elmwood and Genesee, and then there's been 3 more in Buffalo and a bunch more around the country going to votes following.
Okay, wow, that's incredible. So walk this back a little bit and start at the beginning and tell people how this occurred, because those of us who are just civilians who just, I'm not really, should I admit at the beginning of the episode that I'm not a coffee drinker? But that's okay. You have tea. I've had tea. I've had oatmeal at Starbucks. So I am familiar with Starbucks, but this is new and rare and amazing. And so I want you to tell our listeners here how this happened and how this happened in a place we lovingly call Buffalo.
Well, I think it started, honestly, before the pandemic with a coffee shop unionizing called Spot Coffee. And those baristas overcame a lot of union busting from Spot management and formed their union, won a really good contract, and inspired baristas across the country to do the same thing, whether that was Collectivo and some of the other unions that have started organizing, and one or Starbucks workers. So I know the first Starbucks workers to reach out about unionizing reached out in 2019. So it was a long time coming. Obviously, the pandemic interrupted that and put things on hold for a while. But certainly there's Starbucks workers everywhere who've talked about this for a long time.
All over the country, right?
Exactly. What happened in Buffalo was a perfect meeting of a very strong union town, baristas able to take on the fight, and a union willing to back us up.
And who is backing up? You call it Starbucks Workers United. Is that a part of the AFL or some other union, or is it its own entity?
It's part of Workers United.
Workers United, right? Okay.
That's a union that's a independent affiliate of SEIU. But Workers United Upstate New York is really committed to organizing this industry, which started with Spot and is now growing.
And what do you call the industry itself? Are we talking about food workers, fast food workers? What is the kind of the goal and the focus of the organizers?
Yeah, I would say, we're talking about the service sector industry, really. And folks, like you said, who are baristas at Starbucks, baristas at Spot, folks who are fast food workers. And, I think a lot of the people that have been called essential workers throughout this pandemic, who were deemed essential enough to risk their lives to go into work to make sure people could pick up, whether that was a coffee or a hamburger or whatever it was, but, haven't been given the resources or wages or working conditions that they deserve, especially being called essential workers.
Right. That's a very important point to make. And what are the safety concerns that you and the other workers have? Because I've read that there's a number of places that seem to have little concern during COVID for the people that are working for their company?
Well, I can speak to that as a partner at the Elmwood store that walked out over COVID safety last week, because what happened was we had an outbreak of COVID in our store, and people tested positive, and then about a third of the store ended up being on self-isolation. And we met with the company and asked them, can we close the store? Can we get KN95s? Can we change the policy so that we can deny service to people who aren't complying with the statewide mask mandate? And all of our requests, they said no to. So we ended up feeling like we had no choice but to walk out to try to keep us safe.
And I would just like to add to that, Starbucks' response to COVID concerns has not been actually about our health and safety. It's about union busting. So, for example, in Arizona, there's a store that's filing for a petition that is about to have their election, and they had 2 confirmed COVID cases, and the store was shut down for 5 days at the same time that the Elmwood store, they wouldn't shut it down for the same reason. Similarly, we just had a store that filed for a union election in Cleveland, Ohio, which is really exciting. They filed for a petition on Monday. Guess what? Today's Wednesday, and Starbucks just announced that for Cleveland, they're going to drive-through and mobile order pickup only.
Wow.
So it's not a concern for our safety, unfortunately. It's a concern to bust our union, and it's very obvious at this point that they're only choosing to do so when they think it can benefit them. But when it actually comes to our health and safety, that's not clearly a concern.
So what was the original thinking in terms of you and your coworkers there when you first started thinking about maybe we should consider unionizing? What was there a moment? Was there some epiphany? Something that the company did? I'm just start at what sparked this and why you thought it might be possible to organize as a union at Starbucks.
I mean, I think, I'm a bit of a labor history nerd. I've been since I was 16. I think there's not a workplace in the country that shouldn't have a union. And I think working at Starbucks and realizing how many people were attracted to Starbucks because of the values that they profess to have. They say that they embrace activism, whether that's, Black Lives Matter or LGBT rights or animal rights. Why not union rights? And turns out there was a whole lot of Starbucks partners who were interested in organizing around labor rights as well.
So when you first started putting out the idea to people, which had to have been a little scary because you didn't know who might go and tell management that you were thinking of doing this, what was the response? What was the initial reaction from your fellow workers?
Right. I think, from my perspective, my dad is in the teachers union, so I'd always had like a positive idea about a union. So to be honest, though, when I first heard about a union at Starbucks, though, I was like, I've never heard about unions in the service industry. How does that even work? Like with a chain like Starbucks, right? There's so many stores. Like, how is this even going to work? So, after I was able to, learn about Spot and things like that, I was like, okay, maybe this is something that could work for me and my coworkers too. But I honestly, like Jaz said, I think there was a lot of actual excitement when the idea was kind of spreading around Buffalo. Like, a lot of people had thought about this before, but were honestly scared because of the company's anti-union history. So there was a lot of fear, I think, that, as this campaign has gone on, I think a lot of that has receded because we've been empowered and we can see, what we can do when we all stand together and stick up for each other and fight for our right. But, Starbucks has continued to union bust around the country.
Which is illegal to union bust.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we've filed allegations with the NLRB, so they'll be the ones that ultimately decide what is legal and not legal. But, we've seen everything from listening sessions, which are really anti-union meetings, to, threats where they say things like you could lose your benefits, to, just spying and intimidation tactics to try to do anything they can to stop us from unionizing.
Now, again, for the civilians, those of us who are listening to this who have never been employed by Starbucks, we watch the commercials and we see all the shiny, happy people when we go in there. And Starbucks spends a lot of money telling us, the public, that things are not only so hunky-dory there. It's a great place to work. People are treated well. They're treated like human beings. There's all these benefits. And on top of all of that, why it's so nice to work here. We don't even refer to them as employees or workers. They're partners. And you used that word a little bit earlier. And I thought, well, don't make a point of this, because I don't want anybody to lose their job here, because you referred to yourself as an employee and not a partner. But just for the people listening, I don't want them to think that the two of you have a 1/3 share in all the Buffalo Starbucks.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Just in case there's any confusion. But seriously, what do you think? I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? The public thinks that Starbucks is one of these kind of progressive, liberated organizations. What's the truth?
I mean, I think for one thing, we're working in an industry that's artificially, low wage, low benefit, and people are in precarious positions, and Starbucks is a little better than a lot of other employers. And so far, they've managed to, bust every union that's tried to organize in the past by pointing to that. And I think we really came together to say, just because something's better than it could be, why can't it be the best it can be? Instead of defining Starbucks around, is it better than McDonald's? Is it better than Dunkin' Donuts? We're saying, why isn't Starbucks the best that it can be as Starbucks? Because when you have corporate folks worth billions of dollars and, partners that can't pay rent and put groceries in their fridge, something's wrong. And there's no reason that this industry is paid so much less than manufacturing or other industries. The reason that we're paid so much less is because we have no unions. It
seems like Howard Schultz, and I've read his stuff over the years and seen him on shows and whatever. Part of the Starbucks business model has been to ensure that there are no unions. It seems like his business model for Starbucks has, and his part of, I guess, the propaganda is that our workers, partners, don't need a union because we treat them so well. I mean, yes, you need a union if, people are getting whipped out back or whatever, but, you don't need one here because we're a happy place to work and we treat everybody differently than those other places you mentioned.
Right. And Michael, do we have a Howard Schultz story for you?
Please, let me get the camera crew in.
I know we might need there.
We might need let's revisit that. We might need you with a camera crew down the road.
I accept most invitations, so thank you for that. I always want to help. I don't know what you know about me, but my uncle was in the sit-down strike that founded the United Auto Workers, the UAW, back in 1937, and so this has been, in my family forever. But tell me about the Howard Schultz story that he would not want you to tell me.
So leading up to this, I mean, to go back to your point about, Starbucks is a progressive company, I think, honestly, I was, and I think a lot of other partners were, like, a bit naive about what to expect from Starbucks, because there is this kind of feeling about that Starbucks is better. Starbucks isn't Amazon. They're not Walmart. These big companies that you think of as not having the same mission and values and respect for workers. But unfortunately, the truth is that a lot of that talk is hollow and is just for PR. And I think what we're trying to do is make Starbucks live up to those mission and values that they stand for, because a lot of people do love Starbucks and do want to make it better. But going back to our Howard Schultz story, this was like leading up right before the first 3 elections up here in Buffalo. And we all got this text and this big thing. And it was like, there's going to be a surprise guest. Like, come to, what hotel was it at? It was at the Hilton or something like that. Some fancy hotel.
In Buffalo?
Yeah, in Buffalo.
So there's going to be a surprise guest in Buffalo for all the area Starbucks workers. Partners.
Right. And even better, you get paid to go. You get paid and there will be food.
Drinks in small bites.
Yes.
The drinks were Pike Place coffee. Continue.
So, of course, me and a lot of my coworkers couldn't miss the opportunity to see who this special guest was. And I think they might have told us.
They texted us at like 7 a.m.
Right, the day of, and was like, it's Howard Schultz. And I was like, oh, okay.
It means Taylor Swift bailed on them.
Yeah, we were thinking it might be Taylor Swift. But.
All right. Not one of the Jonas Brothers or Beyonce or Jay-Z. I'm kidding.
Right. Actually, no, I think Joe Jonas does promotions for them. So Joe Jonas, if you're listening, come to our side. We have union buttons.
Okay.
Mr. Jonas, the challenge has been put forth. But so you find out at 7 a.m. that the surprise guest is going to be Howard Schultz. And so you go and you what's the first thing you do? I guess change into something more formal, put on your Easter Sunday dress. What exactly happened at that moment when you learned it was Howard Schultz?
So I think a lot of us actually grabbed our union T-shirt that was probably dirty and needed a wash, but threw it on anyway and decided to head down to the Hilton, which, the best part of the story is that they gave us, they were supposed to pay for our parking, and turns out the validation tickets they gave us didn't work. So that was fun at the end of the night. But so we all drive down.
Wow. That's really, seriously, when you promise validated parking, at least if you promise that in LA, other cities, they're going to take care of you.
You got to deliver.
But in Buffalo, that's humiliating, frankly.
And so, I think the evening started with, who was it that spoke first, Jazz?
Deanna.
We had Deanna, who is the regional vice president in this area, and, was talking about her experience with Starbucks and, how much it meant for her and how excited she was for the special guest, which, of course, is Howard Schultz. And, that was all good and fine. But just if I could describe Howard's hour-long speech, it was essentially a billionaire talking to hourly wage workers and saying, who asked Starbucks to give you guys health care? Nobody. Who asked us to give you things like Spotify?
Forced us.
Forced us. And ASU tuition. Nobody. So it was just very interesting, the speech. And then, of course, I'll let Jazz tell the end of the story, which is the best part.
Well, there's 2 best parts, I think. The first one was that he, not convinced that he had made his point by talking about how wonderful he and his benefits were, decided to tell a story about his rabbi on a trip to Israel telling him that he should, or telling him a story about how prisoners during the Holocaust shared blankets in concentration camps with their fellow prisoners, and how Howard took that and said, everything we've tried to do at Starbucks is just that, share our blanket. Because I don't think that was a very appropriate thing. And then when he got some flack for it, he was just like, well, I've told this story before. But the other best part was...
Wow, that was a cringe moment. So it must get better after this, right?
It does. Because I don't know how no one interrupted Howard, because some of the things he was saying were wild. But we waited very respectfully for him to finish and get through his monologue. And then Gianna, one of the organizing committee leaders from the Camp Road store, got up and asked him, said, no one has responded to our requests that Starbucks sign the fair election principles and actually, agree to stop their union busting. Will you do that and actually talk to us partner to partner? And he fled the room while Gianna was surrounded by corporate people and physically pushed back.
And what part of the Niagara River did they find her in?
Luckily, she's alive and well.
Oh, good. Wow. That took courage.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. After that...
She's our hero.
She is our hero. After that, people from all over the district, including stores that haven't had a strong union committee as of yet, came up, and one person was like, I've had this union pin in my purse for the past 2 months, and I'm wearing it tonight for the first time. It was powerful.
Wow. As you guys continue to succeed here union-wise, you know how Starbucks has that special holiday cup? I think when this is over, there should be a special Labor Day weekend cup with her photo on the cup.
She would not like that, so that's
moment of courage.
We definitely have to do that.
What was her name again?
Gianna Reeve.
Her. Okay, so Gianna Reeve on the Labor Day weekend Starbucks cup. Labor hero.
Labor hero, that's for sure.
So I assume when this thing started rolling, you started organizing at these different Starbucks locations. What was the most sinister thing that happened in terms of them trying to put an end to this, to the people who were doing it? Like you said, you had informational meetings, so you got the whole spiel about how, I'm sure the spiel didn't include the Holocaust story. I'm hoping that it didn't.
Only Howard would go there.
Give us a flavor of what that was like.
I think the most insidious thing they did, the meetings were bad and scary and anxiety-inducing, certainly. But the worst thing was, there's no cafeteria spaces, there's no non-work areas. We were talking to people in the back room on lunch breaks, signing people up even, at the espresso bar. And they brought in managers from across the country. I think 100 out-of-state partners is actually a conservative estimate, to be honest, across all of Buffalo. And wow. They made sure that there was always someone reporting back to corporate at every part of the day. And in some stores, they tried to be super nice to us. In some stores, they, started putting partners on final written warnings. But regardless of their tactics, they came in and completely disrupted our stores, made it really hard to have conversations at work, and completely changed what it felt like. They took stores from, being fun, laid back, energetic places to work and made them into anxiety-inducing, very unfamiliar places.
Right. Yeah. And, they didn't do what I think a lot of people were really scared about. Like, they didn't come in and fire people, but what they did was have this nice guy attitude, which I think was sometimes worse in some ways because they made you feel, it was just gaslighting. So you would have these anti-union meetings, and their line is, we're just giving you the facts. And they're not facts, they're half-truths. And when, any union sympathizer would speak up, they would say, well, that's your opinion. So just a constant gaslighting. For one of the final meetings at the 3 stores before they voted, they refused to let some of the more vocal union leaders into meetings. They locked them out of their own stores.
Well, and then they tried to turn the folks who were inside that meeting against the people that they were keeping outside and tell them, those people can't be trusted. They're not going to be there for you. If you vote for the union, we're not going to let you transfer to any other stores for college. Like, literally everything they could throw at them.
And right, those are all hollow threats. That's not going to happen. But, they use their words literally to try to scare people. That's exactly what they're trying to do, is scare and intimidate. And luckily, in a lot of cases, it didn't work. But it's got to stop. And as these campaigns continue to pop up around the country, that's been the biggest demand, is the union busting has to stop here and now. It's unacceptable.
Well, and now Elmwood was the first certified Starbucks in the U.S., and now Genesee is also certified. And as
these would you call them suburbs of Buffalo, Genesee, and Elmwood?
Elmwood is a neighborhood in central Buffalo, so
that's in the city.
Really
limits.
In the city, yes. Genesee is in Cheektowaga, which is a suburb of Buffalo.
Right. Okay.
But as we're looking to bargain our, first contracts, our number one ask of the company is that they actually put the fair election principles into the contract. And, the Buffalo is the ending of their union busting campaign, because our number one priority is making sure that no partners have to go through what we went through, and that everybody can have the same right to organize that we are fighting for.
Right. Wow, that's so important to do that. That's really good that you guys are doing that. So of the three there, the three stores that have been organizing, 2 have voted in the union. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And the other one is, where are you at in the process with that one?
Well, so we did not win that vote. There were some ballots that were delivered to the NLRB office, but were misplaced. Honestly, not 100% sure what is going on there. But I think the union busting disruption was so great that, if I think we were asking the NLRB to examine that election, because it certainly, Starbucks laughed at us for asking for a fair election. It wasn't a fair election.
Right.
Wow.
I think the whole process honestly just highlighted to me, who, before this didn't really have any idea about labor law, but having experienced this just shows it's not labor law, it's corporations law. It's not for workers. It was never for us. And every single thing that we've overcome to get to this point has been exactly that, us overcoming yet another obstacle. When those first 3 stores filed for a petition for an election, they didn't get it for another 3 or so months. And that was a tactic by Starbucks, so they could do things like host these meetings and send in managers.
We had more stores in the area file for elections, and they closed one of those stores and turned it into a training store. And because of, Starbucks using Trump Labor Board loopholes and delay tactics that they enabled, they've managed to make sure that store that they completely disrupted and closed for over a month at least, well over a month, maybe 2, became still hasn't gotten to actually vote in their union.
Well, this has been big news across the country, and even people that don't pay attention to labor news, or news entities that don't bother to cover anything to do with labor, this has broken through. And so, people know about this around the country. I would assume that workers at other Starbucks or other similar entities have probably contacted you to figure out, hey, how'd you do this, and what can we do? Has that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Almost every day we get requests to help on our Instagram or Twitter or email or whatever platform they can reach us at. They're reaching out, because I think, like we said before, so many people had this idea to want to unionize before and just didn't know where to start, or didn't think that it was possible. But what we've said from the start is it only takes one, and we've done that. We got 2 actually. We got Elmwood and Genesee. So we only needed 1. We got 2, and I think the floodgates are kind of opening to the possibility that we can do this. We can stand together and fight back and have a better.
It's inspiring. Yeah. So every day you get contacted. Do you have a sense when you're done either communicating via email or Twitter or or on the phone, do you get a sense that, wow, this is going to happen in Cleveland or Seattle or wherever? Like, do you have a sense, or do you just think, oh my God, they don't know what they're getting into. This will never happen.
It's incredibly energizing. I was talking to some partners who are not public yet, so I can't say where. But it was incredibly energizing to see, them start figuring out over the course of the conversation that this really was something that was going to happen and that they could make happen. And I think there's at least 18 petitions that have been filed after Buffalo. So it's spreading like wildfire now.
18 at Starbucks?
Yes.
Oh, so we're not talking about other service food entities. Just 18 more have been filed since what you did up there.
Since the first 3.
Yeah, that includes 6 in Buffalo as well.
No, that includes 3, the next 3 in Buffalo. I don't think it includes the first 3.
It does.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hey, whatever it is, that's a lot. That's
We'll edit this so that I don't sound so stupid,
No,
right?
you don't sound stupid.
No, but you know what I mean, though? That's a lot. I never would have expected that it already, that a wildfire had been started here in Buffalo.
And I'll tell you what, too, it's not just, I think it's incredible. You're not just seeing this in, like, what you think of, like, liberal areas. It's not just New York or, no one has even launched in California or anything. It's been Knoxville, Tennessee, Tallahassee, Florida, places like where you don't even think that this would happen, but it's happening because people want it, People are saying, like, enough is enough. And I think it's like a generational thing too, where this economic system that we have is not working and people are saying, what can we do? And I think we're seeing unions as the solution.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Why? Because this is something has happened, certainly during the pandemic. A lot of people have had time to reflect and consider how we want to live our lives. I think this seems to be part of a larger movement. The fact that, like, in the last numbers we have for November, 4.5 million workers quit, just outright quit their jobs in just 1 month. And then there's all the others who have been quietly getting the union cards, quietly doing the organizing, and then not so quietly. And the walkouts that have taken place, the actual strikes that have taken place with places that are already unionized. And then Kellogg's of Battle Creek, Michigan, huge strike. And at the end of these strikes, people seem a lot, or maybe a little, but maybe a lot happier. I mean, do you get a sense that you are not only part of this moment, but you are helping to create this incredible movement and moment that we are in when it comes to people who work, and I mean W, capital W, work for a living?
I mean, I think certainly because it's Starbucks, there's a certain amount of attention that our campaign is getting that I think means people are realizing this is truly possible. I think, the turnover in this industry is higher than ever, but it's always been high. And that's been kind of an accepted fact of doing business. I mean, even as we've been organizing, people are like, well, if you don't like it, why not just leave? And we're like, but we do like it. We just want it to be better. And I think that's something that, Starbucks might have tested with their union busting campaign, but the partners truly do love working at Starbucks and care about this company, or, we would have walked.
When you say, that's very interesting the way you put that. People say to you, why don't you just quit? Well, actually, we do like working here. We just think it can be better. Define better for the people that are listening.
I mean, the biggest thing is, because it's a public-facing job, like, we are the baristas are the ones that are in the stores day in and day out, doing the work, interacting with customers. Like, we're the face of Starbucks. Without baristas, I know people like to say the robots can come in, but they have not worked at Starbucks if they think that robots are going to make your caramel macchiato the way you want it with extra caramel drizzle. It's just not the way it works. Yeah, so we are the ones that are in the stores day in and day out. We know how to make these stores work the best. I think people like to say things like workers are against technology and things like that. We're not. Like we know that tech can work for us. We just want to say and how it works and how to make our stores the best they can be, because at the end of the day, we're going to have the best ideas. So it's about, having a voice, a say, a seat at the table. But, to make it better, I also think that if you're working 40 hours a week, when you're on your feet all day, like literally running around, like you shouldn't have to have another job. You shouldn't have to work 80 hours a week to have a decent standard of living. And I think that's the number one thing in this industry is, people have 2, 3, 4 jobs sometimes, and there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that at all, especially with a company that just gave their CEO a $20 million bonus in the middle of a global pandemic. Like, it's unacceptable.
There's also, people keep pouring themselves, to build on what you're saying, people are pouring themselves into this job and giving so much of themselves to make, the store work, to make customers happy, to do all of these things. And then they're still completely disposable. There was no seniority pay. My 11-year coworker who was in many ways the leader of the campaign was making just 16 cents more than me. And I was making the same as a new hire. And I think, there was no recognition for the long-term people and no valuing. Partners shouldn't have to go hide in the back because a customer is being creepy. And I don't think there's really anybody who's worked at a Starbucks who hasn't done that or knows multiple people who are doing that. And I think this is a way to make sure that our voices are actually heard and that we're actually protected.
Right. It's really it's not so much this picky uni stuff that people think that you guys and anybody, frankly, that wants to join a union, that you are looking at this in a much more global way. And by global, I don't mean around the world, the actual planet. I mean, there are larger issues afoot here of how we are going to be treated and how we are going to treat others. And we're in the 21st century. We are not going to live like people had to live in the 18th or 19th or 20th centuries. And I think, if I may say just personally, that your generation, people who are in their teens and 20s and early 30s even, that, and I don't mean to put this kind of pressure on you, but I'm gratified for you stepping up and offering to lead the way and to fix the things that we in the older generations, we did our best, we did good things, but we didn't hand you the way it should be. And now you have to do it. Is that okay to say it that way? Or do you just want to say to me, shut the fuck up and go back to doing what you should have been doing, which is giving us a life that where work and labor was done with respect and we were treated as equal human beings?
I mean, I think we're building on the movements of the past. I don't think it's completely a generational divide, although I think there's certainly a generational shift that, what's happened before hasn't worked, and we need a return to unions. But no, our organizer is 70 yeese old, is the most amazing person I've ever met. And,
wow, organizer who helped organize these Buffalo Starbucks locations, 70 years old.
His name is Richard Bensinger. He's amazing. He and I bonded over our love of Phil Oakes folk music. So perhaps I am actually a boomer as well. But
wow.
He's the best organizer since Joe Hill, and maybe better, but he doesn't like it if I say that.
What's his name again? Richard Bensinger?
Richard Bensinger.
Who also...
Bensinger. We have to put him on the opposite side of the Starbucks Labor Day Cup.
Yes.
The one that Gianna is on the other side is Richard at 70 years old.
We love him.
He likes to call us I don't know if Jazz likes the term, but he's been pushing it. Gen U, Generation Union. And maybe that can include everybody.
I love that.
Maybe it doesn't have to just be young people. It can be anybody who is fed up with their generation and wants to join a new one. We're an inclusive Gen U.
Right. Wow. So where do we go from here? What do we do with what we've learned and you've learned in your success? How do we make this spread across the country and around the world? Because there are people listening to this in many countries who work not only at Starbucks, but all kinds of American, especially fast food places, and would love to know that there was a possibility that they could show up to work, be paid what they should be paid, and be treated with dignity.
Well, right now, we're in a fight for our lives to get a good first contract, because winning the election is certainly a milestone and certainly something that I think has been a catalyst for a lot of folks trying to organize. But we have to get a contract, and that means that we have to actually break through Starbucks union busting, because we're fighting for the right to organize for everybody, and we're fighting for, a better standard for the partners in Buffalo who are going to be covered by this contract, and for everybody else who's going to be negotiating a contract in the future. So I think we need as much public support as possible to actually call on Starbucks to negotiate with us in good faith, to stop fighting the union in Buffalo and in all of the other cities that are organizing, and to truly realize that, our slogan from the beginning of the union campaign has been partners becoming partners, because we're only asking them to live up to their words, to live up to their mission and values, and do the right thing, which they already say that they do. So it shouldn't be that hard to make good on it.
That's a really good point. What can I do? What can I do for you?
This is where you come in with the camera crew. Yes. I think we should have, where is Howard Schultz, or maybe where is Kevin Johnson? Kevin hasn't shown his face the entire campaign.
Only on, what's that show? The Money Show?
Oh, right. He went on Jim Cramer to say that a union was unnecessary.
That it's a third party. That's been like their other like classic line. A union is a third party, which of course is not true. We are the union, but yeah, he's made, I think, 2 appearances on Cramer. But Cramer did have Michelle on, so that was good too.
Right. So, but the people who are listening, who aren't going to make a movie, what can they do? What can they do to the people who are listening to this right now? What can they do starting tomorrow? Even the smallest of things, especially people that go to Starbucks.
Right. I would just say, especially Starbucks customers, they listen to them, honestly, a whole lot more than they listen to us. Call on Starbucks, whether that's like on social media or when you're in the store or wherever you can.
Call corporate.
Tell them to stop their union busting. They have a huge following on Instagram. Go and comment to stop union busting, because Starbucks presents themselves,
it's a liability.
Right, because they present themselves as this progressive company. It's not a good look for them. It's not a good look that they're treating their workers like this. They're treating the people that they call partners like this. And until they see that enough is enough, and customers are saying that too, then they're going to continue with this behavior. So we need all the public support we can get to say that this is unacceptable and it has to stop.
In the beginning of the Black Lives Matter protest, Starbucks told partners, no to wearing Black Lives Matter masks or pins or anything. And partners tried to protest and didn't get very far. Then customers stepped in, and suddenly the policy was changed. We already know that Starbucks is writing in their shareholder letters that union busting could hurt their image and be bad for business. We just need more customers to tell them that it is.
Have you tried that number yet?
Yeah, so you actually do get a person.
You do?
Yeah. I don't think I think they have a company that probably runs it, but you do get to talk to a person.
Okay, let's give that number again, Donald. Have you tried it yet?
I haven't tried it yet. You can even have you dial it yourself if you want. The number for Starbucks customer service is 1-800.
Okay, 800.
782.
782.
7282.
7282. All right, we're going to see if we can get Starbucks headquarters. We're going to make sure we got the right number and get them on the phone. So while our crack engineering team is setting this up, we had not planned to do this, so we're just going to do this on the fly.
Welcome, and thank you for calling Starbucks Coffee Company. We are here to help. Pour continuer en français, appuyez sur le 2.
Oh, oui, oui, oui.
If you are calling about a Starbucks card or Starbucks rewards program, press 1. For questions or feedback about one of our stores, our products, or our company, press 2. To repeat this menu, press star.
That's 2.
If you would like to chat with us online, press 1 now, and we'll text you a link. Message and data rates may apply. Otherwise, please stay on the line.
Okay. I want to talk to a person.
This call may be recorded for quality purposes.
I
Please
hope so.
hold while we transfer you to the next available representative.
It is being recorded.
Did you know that you... Can I help you?
Oh, yes. Hi. What is your name? Hello?
My name is...
Donald, we have to cut his name out. I don't know if I'm more worried about the Nicaraguan government or the government of Starbucks Incorporated, but let's just not get him in any trouble. Where are you at?
Where we are located?
Yeah, where are you located?
Central America.
In Guatemala?
No, Nicaragua.
Oh, Nicaragua. Oh, I've been there. It's a beautiful country. Listen, the reason I'm calling is I'd like to have you give a message to the corporate executives at Starbucks. And my name is Michael Moore, Moore. And I would like to tell them that I, as a customer, because of the oatmeal, I want Starbucks to support its workers who want to start a union. Unions are great things. They built this country. They gave us the middle class. And I've been reading about Starbucks workers organizing unions, and I really I want to say as a Starbucks customer how much I am in support of that, and I'm against any business that tries to stop its workers, in this case its partners, from forming a union. Did you get all that?
Absolutely. I can understand all your comments, and let me right now make a report to share with the specialist team your situation, okay? Your comments about this specific situation that is going there, and about the rights of the different employees that we have. That they have like the right to do it, and absolutely that we are going to be here to help them and to support them, and at the same time to get all the feedback that we need to get in order to understand how do you feel about it. So that way, let me share the feedback right now, okay?
I would be so appreciative of you if you did that. It would mean a lot to me, and I'm telling you, I know it'll mean a lot to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who go to Starbucks every day and who want to support the workers in their rights to form a union.
Excellent. So let me tell you that we have like a phone number for the corporate office. So in that way, if you want to reach them, I can provide that information to you right now.
Oh, good. Please. Thank you.
Seattle corporate office phone number. Let's see.
When I was growing up, Nicaragua had a dictator. His name was Somoza. Did you ever read about him in school? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is the part of history of this country that many people know, because it was so difficult, right?
Difficult,
and
very
even
difficult.
We had like a civil war here.
Yes.
For that, to remove them from the power.
Thank God.
That was. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because many people were suffering that system that was against civil rights and human rights too. So absolutely, that was not good. But right now, it could be different. But we are doing what we can do.
You're doing. I know. I don't want to get you in any trouble. You're doing what you can do. I've been following it on the news.
Yeah.
Just know that as an American, as part of a country, sadly, that supported the old dictator many, many years ago, that I'm a big believer in leaving other countries alone to sort out their own political issues, and not have the United States invading or doing whatever we've done for many years. So good luck with all of that, and I wish the best for you and the people of Nicaragua. I really enjoyed my time there.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I really appreciate your words, and let me tell you that, from all the mistakes that we made, we learned. So I think that right now we are ready to start a new thing and try to do the things better. I hope that it is going to happen, right, and that we can have a better future. So it's something that we have to learn in the way as you learn as a citizen of the United States. I know a little bit about your history, and I really know all the different period of time where you had to suffer many things, and that you have been fighting for many reasons too. So, and you have been able to have a big country and an amazing country right now. So.
Right.
That is awesome,
Right. No, I think most countries have. I mean, we had slavery, right? We wouldn't let women vote for almost 150 years. So, yes, we all go through these things, and generally throughout history, I think good wins out over evil. Nicaragua, I think, is probably already halfway there for having gotten rid of the dictator, and you'll get there and through your what you're going through now. So good luck with that, and God bless. And by the way, I need that corporate number for Starbucks.
Absolutely. I will provide to you that phone number. So I was looking for it, so just give me a moment. So are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I have the fax of that corporate office. The phone that is here, I don't know if it is going to work, if it is accurate, but it's the 206-447-1575.
206-447-1575. And that is that a phone number or is that a fax number?
This is the phone number.
Got it. Do you guys we still have faxes in Nicaragua?
Have you ever been here?
I've been to Nicaragua twice. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Amazing.
I stayed in the old Intercontinental Hotel. I stayed there in downtown Managua, and then we drove up to Honduras. Then we decided we wanted to see both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. So, which and because you live there, you can drive across the country in a lot less time than it takes to drive across the United States to see the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. So
absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, and you have that beautiful country to the north of you, Costa Rica,
yeah, that's true.
So, no, but wonderful country, wonderful people. All right, my friend, have a good night, and pass on my concerns to Starbucks. Do the right thing.
Absolutely, we will.
All right. Be well, my friend.
The same for you, and have an amazing year too.
Okay. Oh yes, please. Let's have a good one. We need it right now.
Absolutely, with all these things happening, but we will be good.
We will be good. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You're welcome. The same for you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wow. I wanted to ask him to describe for me in English what venti meant.
I like.
I know.
Well, now we have the corporate number too. We didn't have that before. So.
Well, we got the corporate number. So my friends who are listening to Rumble, we will publish both the 800 number that is listed, but we're also going to publish the corporate number here on my Rumble site, so that you can call them and give them a serious phone call. Don't dink around like I was doing. Give them a serious phone call and tell them how often you go to Starbucks and how much you want them. In fact, you insist that they treat their workers, their partners, well, and that they do not try to union bust, and they support them. That unions are a good thing. The reason they're a good thing is because families that grow up with union heads of household have it just so much better and are able to participate in the society we have. and are able to afford a $7 cup of coffee. I don't know how much it is.
It really is that much.
Oh no, I made that up. Okay. I see. I'm only going in for the oatmeal.
For those of you who get the iced chais, I don't know how that they get pricey. Add like some sweet cream foam, some drizzle. You're getting up there.
How much? If I get the drizzle on top of all that sweet chai business, what am I paying?
If you get like an iced venti chai with like pump of brown sugar, sweet cream foam, and drizzle, that's like a $9 drink.
A $9 drink. Oh, Mr. Schultz. And board of directors of Starbucks. Come on. You got to share the chai.
The other thing about calling corporate is we know that there's folks at all levels of this company that are supportive, including in headquarters. So, I guess just to make the point, the company is union busting, but if you're calling them, there might be some friends there. So,
yes. Well, for instance, the man I just spoke to in Central America, working for Starbucks, I didn't use the words human rights. He did in describing your situation. Yeah. I mean, just think about that. You're right. There are people in all companies that feel the way we feel and just wish that they hope that they're not alone, and they aren't alone. And that's a very good point you just made. And so treat the people you are calling at Starbucks with respect, but be firm in terms of your feelings and how you are not going to be going to Starbucks if this is the situation in terms of how the workers are treated. And I will have on my podcast, on my platform page here, if you don't want to call, I'll have the phone numbers. If you don't want to call, we'll have the email address where you can write to Starbucks. That's a good and easy thing for all of us to do. And if we have 150,000 people listening to this over the next weeks or days or whatever, man, that's a lot of communication with the people who run Starbucks to let them know how we feel about this. So thank you for suggesting that idea. I hope it didn't get you in any trouble. But I think you're actually already in enough trouble already, if you get my gist.
Good trouble.
Yeah, good troublemakers over here.
Good troublemakers. If you're in college, maybe don't drop out yet.
We graduated. We're good.
Oh, you've graduated? Oh, you've got a degree. Okay, no problem. But seriously, this has been great. Is there any final words you want to say? Anything maybe that we didn't cover to the people who are listening? The microphone is yours.
The point is that everybody deserves the right to organize and to have a seat at the table. And, Starbucks has a metaphorical seat at their boardroom table where they say they consider the voices of workers, of partners, as we're called. But then why is it empty? And that's what we're doing, is trying to fill that seat at the table. And we're just trying to make it a better place and a better place to work at the end of the day.
Just so I understand, the board, when they meet at Starbucks, they have an empty seat at the table, and that is to represent the workers' partners of Starbucks.
Yes.
Wow.
And they had a vote in the past year to try to get an actual barista in that seat, and the board of directors urged shareholders to vote that down. So it did not pass, which says a lot.
Wow. Do you know that there are a number of countries where up to half of the board has to be elected by the workers' partners of the company? Did you know that? In Germany, for instance, I think it's 50-50 there. Some countries it's 51-49, 51 in favor of the owners.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it is the law of the land in many progressive countries that the workers are very much represented, not token, real representation on the board of directors. Should put that into the request too. Make that one a venti.
Yeah.
And put some drizzle on it. Damn. $9 for the drizzle. And did you say a pump of brown sugar?
And the sweet cream foam, which is definitely the, how many blenders does it take to make a drink sometimes? I think
Right.
we should have a competition.
Right. Wow. Okay. So listen, we're all going to do our best to support you and keep doing what you're doing. Keep us informed. I'll be talking about it. I'll be posting about it. People around the country, when you hear that the local Starbucks, the workers are trying to organize there, go in there and support the hell out of them and let the manager and the people there know how much you want this Starbucks. I want union. I want union coffee in my hands. I want a union frappuccino. I've never seen a union frappuccino.
If you come to Buffalo, we'll make you one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm putting that one down on my neck. On my I've already got my when I'm allowed to drive back to Michigan. I'm going to go up through upstate New York. I'm going to cross. What's the Peace Bridge? Is that it?
Yep, 5 blocks from my house.
That goes across the Niagara River there, into Ontario, and then you just stay on that road, and that's how I get to Flint. You just go. Don't go down toward Detroit. You just go over to Sarnia and Port Huron, and I'm home. And on the way there, I'm going to stop into a Union Starbucks and have a Union Frappuccino.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, this is. I will bring my camera for this one. We'll make a little short out of it.
Sounds amazing.
And then we'll visit our friend Howard Schultz.
Yeah, and then we'll visit Howard Schultz. And by the way, too, we have to do the taste test. So there'll be one Frappuccino that's Union and another Frappuccino that isn't Union. And then I have to guess which one was Union made.
You know what they say, happy workers, happy Frappuccinos.
Is that what they say? I've never.
That's what I say.
Okay.
Oh my God. We have been talking to Jaz Brisack and to Casey Moore, no relation. Both of them workers, partners at the Starbucks up in the Buffalo area, and organizers of the first 2 Union Starbucks up in that neck of the woods, and more to come. Thank you, both of you, Jaz and Casey, for what you've done and for being here on Rumble.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
Okay, my friends, keep at it, and please know you can always contact me for any support. I've got your back, as do hundreds and hundreds of thousands of others. Thank you for this.
Thank you. We're going to take you up on that.
Oh, I hope you do. I'll be disappointed if you don't. Union Frappuccino, non-union Frappuccino. We want to get to the place where there are no such things as non-union Frappuccinos. If it's a Frappuccino, that's the new slogan. If it's a Frappuccino, it's union.
That can be Starbucks' new slogan. We just did their whole PR marketing.
Yes, for free.
For free.
For free. The people are going to be coming through those doors. They should. This is what I don't. Like I said, my uncle was in the auto workers fight to form their union. It took a decade or 2, but finally General Motors and Ford, they realized, oh my God, you know what? If we pay these workers, partners, a really good wage, you know what they're going to do with that money? Buy a car. And that's what happened. A middle class was created, and they all became filthy rich because they paid their workers what they should be paying them. I still to this day, I don't understand when heads of companies don't get that basic math. So there we go. We're done. We're out of here. Thank you. Let's hear it for Buffalo, my friends. Buffalo, New York, and the great Starbucks Workers United. All across the country, it's going to happen. Bless you. Well, thanks again to Jaz and Casey for joining me, and I offer my solidarity to their efforts in their fight for fair pay and representation. And to all people who are trying to form a union, who don't want to go back to the old normal, who want to be paid a living wage and be protected, the things that a union can do for you. All of you listening to this, let's take great inspiration from what they've done up in Buffalo at the Starbucks. And if you're out there working a job right now where you know that you aren't being treated fairly, remember, you can do this too. It starts by talking with your coworkers, though, not in front of your boss. But you get my gist, right? And if you want some advice or some help, they'll be on the podcast platform page here, a place where you can go to talk to union organizers that can answer your questions and help you perhaps form a union at your workplace. My thanks here today on Rumble to our executive producer, Basil Hamden, our editor and sound engineer, Nick Quaz, our jack of all trades, and our human test subject for the limits of caffeine, appropriate for today's episode, Donald Bornstein, and everyone who has helped us put this podcast together, and to all of you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Everybody, take care, be well, and we'll talk soon here on Rumble with Michael Moore. I'm Michael Moore.
There's power in a factory, power in the land, power in the hand of the worker. But it all amounts to nothing if together we don't stand. There is power in a union. Now the lessons of the past were all learned with workers' blood. Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. From the cities and the farmlands to trenches full of mud. War has always been the bosses' way, sir. The union forever defending our rights. Down with the black leg, all workers unite. With our brothers and our sisters from many far off lands. There is power